The first two rounds have seen back to back wins in both classes, but this is a new circuit for this series. Navarra may be base content, but it's a bit tight for cars this powerful. Will it shake up the pecking order? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round three of the IMSA Vintage series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Janet Costello, assisted by Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. With this being a newer circuit on the scene, let's head to our track guide to find out a bit more about Navarra. Welcome to Circuito de Navarra. A relatively recent addition to the European racing scene, this track opened in 2010 just about 2 hours south of the French border near Los Arcos, Spain. The three available configurations range between 15 and 6 turns, going from 2.4 miles down to only 0.8 of a mile. In metric, that's just under 4 kilometers down to 1.3 kilometers. Its most notable features are the plethora of sharp, slow bends throughout. But despite this, it opens on a fast set of kinks for turns 1 and 2. This makes the setup for the hairpin of turn 3 a difficult proposition. That's not to say it lacks some more open radii. Turns 5, 6, and 7 have quite a flowing sequence. The final half of the course is especially full of the tighter corners, while also changing direction constantly. There's not much elevation change to speak of, but because of that, the fans have a slew of viewing mounts to take in quite a bit of the track. Motorcycles, lower-level open-wheelers, TC, and GT cars are all regular visitors. Plus, it brings regional series from across the borders, with both British and French championships making visits. iRacers can rejoice with this being part of the base content included with their subscription. No doubt they'll find out why it's an easy draw for fans in the real world to come check out this new facility. Well, Craig, I'm very eager to see how this series takes to the track, especially with it being base content. If it works well and the field loves it, we could see it more.
Well, fingers crossed for that, Joe, but keeping it for the third week in a row, we're at a track that is known mainly for its motorbike pedigree. However, to say there's a lot of space and runoff wouldn't be true like those previous weeks. Now, for the GTP, they will enjoy what this track has to offer in the mid to high speed corners, but it's those slow corners at turn 8 and 15 that will cause the drivers to be pulled back and reminded what a sports car racetrack is. Now, one note for the Nissans, though, is the curves. They are bumpy, so trying to take advantage of all the space in those corners is going to be a challenge for the drivers. For the GTOs, it's a combination of corners that will catch some of those drivers out if they're not ready. Turn 2 leads right into turn 3, so the Audis will need to be staying on the brake pedal between the corners, and they will need to have good throttle control around the rest of the track. Elevation change? A little bit, but it will play havoc to the drivers. Downhill at turn 4, uphill at turn 15 will put any stop to drivers looking to put their nose in for an overtake. Talking of overtakes, multiclass. Around here, it's kind of into the unknown. Drivers have been testing earlier this week and they have expressed concerns, but with a similar flow to the track from the last couple of weeks and few straights, the challenge today for those GTPs, Joe, will be who makes the safest but most riskiest overtakes on traffic to gain the advantage.
I think that's definitely going to be a make or break. It usually is for this series. Traffic can honestly get you a win or make you feel like a zero very quickly. But the wins have definitely come early on for Jacob Reed because he is leading in the GTP point standings right now. 2 wins right off the bat. And then Jack Wells, 2 second places. Finally, it kind of switches up for Antti Lepisto back down there in third. Did not take 2 third places to get there into that spot. He's only a single point ahead of his fellow Finn, Arto Iamaki. Timothy Reed close behind them as well. You don't have to go too far back to the Japanese driver Toko Hisada to get to 6th. And then it's actually tied for 7th place between Edwards and Grau. So they're going to try and sort that out, as we've also got a tie for 9th and 10th between Cotasalo and Mastretta. Only a single point between 4 drivers. Today, someone's going to come out ahead of them, and that'll be fascinating to watch. What about the GTO standings, Greg?
Well, in the GTOs, it's Audrey's Valentageous world, and we're just living in it. 50 points, 2 wins from 2, undefeated once again in the GTOs, and Van Hixie is trying to catch up with him, and Keeping P2 does help for him, but he needs a victory to get ahead there. Can he do it today? You look down the rest of the field as well. Schuster's still there in third. And then you've got Doug Cloud with the early season resurgence that he always has, sitting in fourth. Very close at the back. You see between Josh Brain down to Youngblood, just a few points between them. And there's also a few points between the rest of the field, all the way down to 16th. So those bottom places in the top 10 could be changing hands after today.
Keep watch on that, and also watch out for our race details, because it's an important one for this series, as it does fluctuate from time to time. This one going to be their traditional 40-minute sprint. We're at round 3, as we have mentioned. Cars are open setup, and this field is honestly very good about being able to share that. It's a great community if you want to join in. Don't worry, nobody's going to be stingy about sharing some more info with you. No spare car, though. So if you get damage, and like we said, with that traffic, could be easy. You got to come in and get that damage repaired, or just retire the car. Drive-through incident at 17, DQ at 25. Again, into the unknown a bit, whether that's going to be difficult at this track here today. So all kinds of finding out for lots of people, as you can find out if you're good enough to compete with them if you take advantage of the iRacing holiday sale. 50% off now through January 5th. So tomorrow, that's it. And this is over. This is one of the best deals that you can get, especially as a new member. Go to iRacing.com/holiday-sale, and you can get 50% off. And see if you enjoy iRacing as much as we do, which I guarantee you're going to get hooked pretty quickly around this sim. Meanwhile, we are in the midst of our qualifying, and laps about under a minute 30 for the faster ones. So we've already got most on the board for the GTPs, and looks like a couple of them starting to trundle in for the GTOs.
Yeah, just a few coming in. Jacob Reed taking pole position right away. There's one of those tight corners at turn 3 we talked about already today. Early doors out there today. I want to just give a point out here. Third place in qualifying right now is Raul Rosses Guardia. Car 28. Car 4, fourth place, 26th car, Laus Olsen. These are two high-class GTP drivers, and they've only just made it into the split, Joe. That just shows you how strong a strength of field it is out there today.
Yeah, that's a good point. With it being a split race, it seems that it has brought out some steep competition here. Reed still up at that top spot for now. Noel Lundberg taking over pole position down in those GTOs. Watch out for guys like Del Olmo, Schuster, Josh Brain, and Doug Cloud continuing to show great form.
Yeah, really is good to see Doug out there doing well. This is car number 19. We just saw Mickey Friesen still looking for his second win on the broadcast, still also looking for a championship. Going to be very tough with how strong it is this time this season. Just a few more corners left to go, and he will take turn 14 into 50. Just look at it. It is a little bit of a climb up there, and you've got to be careful when to get on that throttle. You cannot go too hot on the throttle. He'll come across the line for what should be his second lap, and it will be a 36.4, enough to move him up to 5th for the time being.
That is an important one for him, that is for sure. Hamilton Ruiz has not set a time yet, and that's not for going off track. This is going to be his first lap here. Let's see, we've got 2 minutes left, so he'll get the first one in. I don't know how long it's going to be for him to get back around for that second one, though. Looks like he's coming up to the final turn here now. Round 15, off the hairpin, on the throttle as much as he dares, trying not to spin up those rear tires. Will this be an important one? He can get around for a second lap, it looks like. A 29.5, and that's only going to put him 16th. That's last of those who've set a time in the GTPs.
Yeah, we've got 17 GTPs out there today. 17th place will automatically go to Togo Hisada. He hasn't qualified. He has qualified. Both lap times were invalid. So maybe Ruiz here just trying to get a sighting lap to just see what he can do. As he comes around 5, hard on the brakes for turn 6, and then just wait and wait. Kind of like Lacacia there at Barcelona. You just got to wait to get on the throttle, and around he goes. hard into turn 8. And here's a crucial part of the track, Joe. It's the second longest straight on the track, and you do have time to make a couple overtakes here. Going to be interesting when it comes to the race, just what overtakes are going to happen when we get to the traffic as it comes around once again to turn 9.
Yeah, this one, of course, has a bit of an interesting double apex, and then immediately you're slamming on the brakes down into turn 11 once again. Now into this really fiddly, twisty back section. It's all these sharp, quick corners that you're just back and forth constantly. You do have it open up a little bit here on 14, but again, it sends you right into 15. You got to get it lined up quickly. Drivers having to cross the track, and I wonder what that's going to do for those passing opportunities, Craig. Having to switch sides of the track quickly can often cause confusion.
Yeah, could cause confusion, so don't be surprised if we see Ruiz come across the line. Well, a better lap, but he still could not get off the bottom of the sheets. Be interesting to see what they do when it comes to that. Again, we talked about how it's a motorbike track, mainly. It's done on the World Superbikes, not MotoGP. As we see Noel Lumber just doing a few more couple tests out there. So you do have the space to go around, but this track is still narrower compared to the Mugello that we went to, the Aragon we went to. So space is there, but it is limited. And with a bit more gravel runoff up there, it's going to be really tough for those drivers to just try and find moves around the outside.
Let's hope they don't drag too much of that gravel back onto the track itself as our grid is set. So why don't we go through our starting order for today's event. And like we said, Jacob Reed, being the man to beat, has once again put it on pole position. He's got Antti Lepisto to his outside, a regular in this series for a long time. Jack Wells will start from third, and then Farron Grau will be P4. Arto Iamaki starts in the top 5, followed by Raul Guardia in the 6th position. Lau Stolson, good enough for 7th for him, while Ivan Platon will start from 8th. Miguel Martin is going to be in the 9th spot, top 10 rounded out by Cal Young. Iko Kotasalo will start in 11th today. And then you've got Seamus Power in the 12th position. Brennan Lim in lucky number 13 with Gabriel Martinez in the 14th spot. Xavier Sanchez in P15. And then, as we mentioned, Ruiz, last of those to qualify, starting 16th. Hisada back of the fields in 17th. What about the GTOs, Greg?
Yeah, we look at the GTOs, and it's Andreas Schuster who leads them off today with Noah Lundberg beside him on the first row. Then Ove Trengerade will be third, and Javier Del Olmo, a very good qualifying on his return to the GTOs in fourth. Theo Chalet will be fifth with Josh Brain in sixth, and then it's Mickey Friesen down in seventh. Timothy Reed will be eighth, and Doug Cloud will be ninth with Joran Van Hicks still there in 10th for the first page. We've got 3 more drivers. Fabian Jungluff will be 11th. Martin Krajcik, last of the time, qualifies in 12th. And he did this last night in a race here. Valenteus will go last, hopefully, maybe, to first. But remember, Joe, one of the times in the GTOs he went last to first, he crashed out before the green flag.
Well, let's hope he'll at least get an opportunity to give it a try here today. But he'll start from the very, very back of the field, of course, as you said, to see whether or not he can make that happen. We take off behind the pace car, is now leading them around on the pace lap and showing us what it's going to be like at the opening. Now, this is the other thing that I'm intrigued by, because I have to admit, the times that I've stepped out on this track since it's been released, I have grown to not like these opening set of corners. I'm curious what it's going to be like for these drivers at the start of a race.
Yeah, I did see some onboards last night in the GTOs. That little kink there, turn 1, it's a little bit of a lift for the GTOs. And again, you want to go braking here, and I'm not sure what it's like for the GTPs, but those GTOs, you are constantly on the brakes. And I just want to point out something. I was just looking at the stat provided to us, Joe. I've been looking at some of these, we were talking about the stacked field. If my maths is correct, this is the 3rd highest strength of field for a GTP field ever. And the 3rd highest, again, I'm going to do my maths, the 3rd highest for a GTO. For context, the highest ever in a GTP was just over 5K. Second was 4,293. Guess who won the highest strength of field ever? Andreas Valenteus. But again, that's a GTP. He's in a GTO.
Interesting. Well, this will be a feather in the cap of whoever comes away with it then on the GTP side. Reed's going to hope that he can keep that momentum up and come home with a real achievement on his hands as we look back at the GTOs once again. Have exited out of the more sweeping corners and then on to the backstretch, like you mentioned, from the run from 8 to 9 on the very far side of the circuit. A good heavy braking zone at the end of it. Curious if we'll see many drivers be able to utilize that, because while it is the second longest, this is only a 2.5-mile track. It's pretty short in comparison, as we took a look there at Doug Cloud's onboard for a brief moment. One of our regulars here for our onboard cameras.
Yeah, also I noticed he's rocking a red headband today. I don't know if he's rocking the GSRC colors just for us, but looks like it's not his usual lucky headband, and he'll probably tell me off for that shortly. These tight corners here out of 12 into 13 very shortly. Not a lot of space to do some overtake. Remember, they will get a little bit of throttle acceleration as it's slower at the GTP, so they may get some chance. Going to be tough though, but the pit lane, look how early it is. They haven't even got to the final corner, and Jacob Reed is in full control of that field right now. That's
a good point. Yeah, it's I didn't realize that it came so early on the lap here as Reed brings him out of the final turn. Again, he has control, like Craig said, so he can go when he pleases, but he's holding them a while. He's waiting for it. When is he going to hit that accelerator? There it is. Green flag is out. He's on the loud pedal, and he got a very good jump over Lepisto. Has no answer for him. Jack Wells falling back a little bit as well, trying to hold on to that third place. Sends it up deep into turn 2. Will take P2 away. In fact, it might be third place gone, because here comes Guardia looking up the inside. Not quite there, though.
Not quite there. It's all quite so far in the GTOs. A little bit of hard braking in the background. I believe that's one driver. Jan van Heck got damaged straight away. I think he went a bit too hard into the back of somebody. You're seeing that battle still. There's a big accident happening there in the GTP still. Everyone gets around.
Anti Lepisto gets into the side of Farron Grau, and the two come together, unfortunately spinning around Lepisto. He falls down to 12th place. I think we had another car go off, and in fact, the GTOs are catching him. Ruiz, thankfully, get off just in time. Meanwhile, battle for 4th place is Ivan is dueling with Guardia. Now, as we got a spin in front of them. What's happening up here? Farron Grau now goes around.
Yeah, and I've also seen Togo, his starter has gone off as well. As Togo had, I think Togo's had some hardware failure. No, Togo's blown the engine, and that looks like more issues as well. Farron Grau going around early doors, the lead change in the GTOs. We did not catch it as we saw Lundberg getting past. This is Fabian Jungluff now trying to hold on to Van Hicks. It may be a damaged car at the front from Johan Van Hixie. However, he does have a little bit of help, but there's Noah Lundberg. He is trying to take the first lap away, and now he just wants to try and pull away because Ove Trengerade, he is in third. Remember how good his pedigree is, Joe. He could just catch them all off guard.
He is one who shows up a lot here in the vintage cars, all 3 of the roadside of them. You'll see him frequent, and he's competitive in each of them, too. So, yeah, don't underestimate that number 12. Something's happened to Sanchez in the meantime out of what looks like turn 3.
Yeah, I believe he may have just lost control of the car there for a moment. Yeah, just missed a gear shift. We're looking at Javier Del Olmo, though, as he continues on his almost Fernando Alonso return to the GTOs, like Fernando in F1, just there in 4th. This is the track that probably will suit him best. A bit of a slow track, a lot of opportunities to make some moves. And we're just going to get a quick look to what happened at Farron Grau earlier in the race. Come on by, and there's just a car. He's got nowhere to go. He's trying to avoid the car, and he just gets by it though, but gets on the loud pedal way too hard, and that just cost him going around.
Figure out who that was spun around there. I think it may have been the 22, and he got it going in time, but it really compromised the likes of Sanchez in the meantime. So, as Ivan continues to run in 4th position, Guardia just ahead of him, trying to hold on to the podium spots, but they've dropped a whopping 4 seconds in 3 laps off of Wells and Reed.
Yeah, I'm wondering. It's actually Wells has lost 4 seconds as well. I wonder if that's just because of just what happened at the start of that race. It got a little bit touchy coming around into this area earlier in the race, and I reckon Jacob just got the good break here. 5 seconds, though, this early in the race. It's not the end of the world for these drivers trying to catch him, but now you've got to think Jack Wells is a very good driver. Even Platon, good driver. Guardia, a good driver. If they are smart, they work together here. And there's Lars Olsen in the background. He will definitely work wherever he needs it. They need to catch up to the man called Jacob Reed.
Yeah, apologies, I didn't realize that it was just Reed that had run away. I thought Wells went with him, but no, I was reading my timing and scoring wrong. His Sada, there's him blowing the engine, and thankfully realized it didn't stop it on track, just let it come to a halt. Really unfortunate here this early in the race that that is it for him, without really getting to show what he can do from the back of the field. Ivan's still stuck in this 4th position. He's dropping off of Raul in front of him. Laus Stolsen becoming bigger in the mirrors now as we jump back over to Van Hicks. And he's going to try that last to first, but not in the traditional way.
Yeah, not in the traditional way. This all started, he tried to make an overtake on Doug Cloud, coming out of 4 into 5. Lost it. There's Lars Olsen. He's got slow, and don't tell me he's been fallen. That's a lot of damage. He's lost it on his own. He's lost it on his own on the final corner. He's hit the wall, just losing the speed. And I'll tell you what, Joe, you talked about the debris. Put a lot of gravel on that track.
Yeah, and trying to get on that throttle. There's so much power underneath these cars. I'm sure it was easy to spin up those rear tires. Back to Farron Grau. Remember, he fell back early after that contact as they come down into 5 and 6. Long, never-ending corner that tightens up at the end. But everybody's managing it well. Farron's got a lot of cars to pass. As he started this race in 4th, he's down in 13th. And there is what happened to Olsen. Yep, just spun up those rear tires, and that was all she wrote.
It's such a shame because he actually did win the last hot split last night in these cars. Granted, it wasn't the strength of field like it is today, but you still get a win under your cap on a track like this. That is so much experience and confidence. Just a shame that's happened. Just a lapse of concentration happens to everyone, and these drivers don't need a lapse of concentration. They just need to hold on. It's going to be about 3-4 laps, I would say, until they hit the traffic, because the traffic's still on the other side of the track. So it's going to be interesting to see where they look for opportunities. Going that deep for Guardia, though, is not going to help him. That allows Jack to just get a nice little push away there. No toe possible. Guardia is just going to have to wait again, because this is a corner. Because of the way turn 1's set up, you cannot make a send into turn 2.
Yeah, he was getting so close to the back of it, and he is again. He's strong on the brakes, but Rule can't seem to do anything with it. This time, though, he's better coming off the corner. Down into 4 is going to lead them well into 5. And as they compress at the bottom of the small hill here, look at him bounce around a bunch. I was kind of noticing that last lap. It seems like there's some bumps going into that corner.
Yeah, it's actually a bumpy track in general. When it was first made, drivers were hoping it was going to be a bit of a smooth track, but there are bumps out there. It's one of those reasons I mentioned the curves as well, because the curves also have that bump to it. But yeah, there are a lot of bumps on this track. You've got to find the right line. So going offline like Valenteus is doing right now could be a little bit of a hindrance. He gets that overtake done beautifully. He's up to 6, and he's right now on the back of this little 5-car train.
7 spots and 5 laps so far, and we're only, let's see, about 7 minutes into this race. It's kind of amazing what Valenteus has been able to do as we look off the back of him, but he is focused forward. Theo Schleret is the next one up the road, and we'll see whether or not he can hold him off. Schleret usually is a pretty good fighter. Let's see how much of a fight he'll put up, as unfortunately he's got a bad exit. And now Andreas is right all over top of him.
Yeah, he's all on top of him. He's going to look for the defense. He has the defense in the GTP. So I can report you see on the timing tower, Guardia got past Jack Wells after a mistake coming out of turn 15 for Jack, led into turn 1. These drivers are fighting. They're losing time to Jacob Reed. These drivers don't need to fight. They're just making sure they work together. It's the standard GTO train, but if you're going to lock your brakes like that, Theo, you're going to be under threat. And Valenteus is going to do the switch over. That's a brilliant move. Is there going to be space? They do come together. Theo, I think, just couldn't leave him the room. And Valenteus, well, he was riding the sausage curve there around this tight little corner here at 14. Gets it done. Valenteus takes that position. They have lost time, though. They're going to have to rely on that number 1 car to catch up to the rest of the field.
The elbows are out for the one. He's not afraid to get a little rough with his competitors if he needs to get a position and move on down the road. Now, I am noticing that we're seeing a lot of lockup into corners as we got a battle up here in our GTPs. No, excuse me, that was a replay. Jack Wells losing second to Guardia coming into 1 and 2 and was able to sneak by. Is that something that you've been seeing a lot this week into some of these corners? Does the setup really tend to smoke that inside tire on these GTOs?
I think a lot of it is just the speed catching some of the drivers out, because you do have some very tight hairpins and corners on this track. So some of the drivers just really having to work out where they're braking. Of course, you do have brake lights, so you can see where the person in front of you is braking. You can't see how hard they're braking. As we saw with Guardia in the GTPs earlier, you might be braking a little bit lighter than what Jack Wells is braking. It could be the same situation with these drivers, that things could be happening they're not aware of. See a tap of the brakes there for even Platon as Seamus Power tries to catch him. That can catch somebody out sometimes, and that can put a concertina effect, but it has not worked that time. Seamus is still looking for more. He's +7 on the day.
Nice race from Seamus Power. Rated number 18, even rated number 22, and Raul rated number 28. So showing that iRating is just but a number, I guess, for these drivers. Yeah, it tends to imply your speed, but it isn't a guarantee. And they are going to put some good ones down, especially some good points today, if they can stay where they are. But nobody's been able to match Jacob Reed. It's up to 9 seconds. That's just as they're starting to get into the back of the GTO field. You can see them now appearing as Platon goes by Jungwirth.
Yeah, just a back marker of a card there at Jungwirth, Fabian Jungwirth, not having the best start to the race. So they've still got a bit of time. To say how big this gap is, though, those 9 seconds in the gap. Okay, Guardia's just taken turn 1. Meanwhile, turn 4, now into turn 5, is where Jacob Reed is. He's going to hit that traffic first of all, before any of these drivers. But it just goes to show one car here, Fabian Jungwirth, is causing all this, and it's not him on purpose. It just goes to show the speed differences.
Reed now trying to fight down in the GTOs. This is for the 7th position. Josh Brain in front of him, also trying to defend on Friesen. Doesn't want to lose that 8th spot while he's looking forward. And again, just those inside tires seeming to want to lock up a little bit on these 4-wheel drive machines, especially in these slower corners. Hopefully that doesn't overheat them by the end of the race. Oh, here we go. Antti Lepisto. He's another one that's trying to recover from a bad start to this race. He and Farron Grau both are doing so, but they're going to wind up fighting each other instead of Antti Lepisto, excuse me, Grau and Lim fighting one another there in that group. Lim in the purple, Grau in the blue and white, and that is Lepisto in the gold and black trying to run away.
Yeah, needs a bit of help there, trying the best they can. We'll need to look at traffic. I've just been watching Jacob Reed on the back of the traffic, and he has lost 2 seconds. In fact, more than 2 seconds by being held up between that back half of the track from turn 10 down into turn 13. It was just 2 cars that held him up. He could not get on the power. This is what these guys have got to hold on for a moment. Seamus still trying to make Platon make a mistake, not having it. They're going to come around 2 more corners, and they're going to meet the first load of traffic. It is going to be a little bit sketchy for them, but they do have that straight. But I think they're going to miss them. I think they're going to have to wait in that section I was just talking about that cost Jacob Reed almost 2.5 seconds.
It's about to get spicy with that traffic up the road. Wells will probably want to put some distance in to give him some wiggle room if he needs it, being held up, as they are now approaching Martin Krejcik up next in the number 30 machine, and he's not too far behind guys like Doug Cloud, Van Hicks. Both of them probably upset that they're not towards the sharper end at this stage. Watching Artu Yamaki now. Will he try and use this as a pick? Is he going to try and catch out Seamus Power as he tries to find his way by these slower cars?
Might need to look at it, kids. Are they going to hit traffic as they hit turn 15? Don't think they will. In fact, there is one there in the car at the front. will have to do a little bit of a lift, and it's Jack Wells. Will that allow Platon to make a run? He will not, but let's see how many cars they get by, and they're not going to get by many cars here. In fact, one driver may get left out here, and it is Imaki. Going to have to hope for it. Kraytrick goes around, but now they'll come around here. Doug Cloud's gone wide, trying to get out the way of a driver. Welcome now to what is the chaos that will be multi-class traffic. They will get past Doug Cloud, they will get past P10, which is Van Hicks, but then where do they go? They're going to be all tied up together.
Actually being caught here in turn 6 now, and actually if they could get by on the back stretch, well, nope, they're not even going to wait that long. They're going to sneak underneath them into turn 8, and that works out horribly for Ardo Iamaki, who loses a bunch of time. Look at the distance now up ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting just to see that different. Give you a context of how much the traffic is really causing havoc first time by. These drivers are doing 26s, 126s in the GTP. They've hit the traffic. They're all doing 128. Just a couple drivers only doing 27, but that just goes to show that's almost 2 seconds different. And you see as they try to weave and squeeze their way through, Seamus just trying to do an excuse me there, and Platon cannot get it. Around they will go. But Wells really using this to their best advantage in contact, and that's into the back of Timothy Reed, and Friesen getting held up as well.
Cars scatter to try and avoid, and still contact happening behind. I think that was, looks like Cal Young running to the side of Martin. Timothy Reed eventually gets it pointed the right way, but probably a very disgruntled Reed now.
Yeah, it's one of those that you think, is that the move you want to make? Seamus still trying to defend this now. He got past Platon. He wants to get past Arto. There's not a lot of room here. They're going to go 3 wide just for a very brief moment. And a pick. He picked himself there. They will go 3 wide into turn 6. And Seamus Power around the outside with a brilliant move and gets it stuck to the inside of turn 7. Has the inside for turn 8. Calm as you like, Seamus Power with the move of the day.
It looked like a pick, and then it didn't, and he kept his foot in it. That was amazing stuff from Power. I don't think that was even to get a position. I think it was to defend Iamaki's. We've got a car going off. You saw the smoke. I'm not sure who that was. Loneberg, I think, actually, that wound up in the kitty litter outside of turn 9. Not sure if there was contact to put him there, and he's parked it, so there must have been something that has hurt the car. 3 wide once again. Meanwhile, down into turn 12.
Yeah, I think there's been some hardware issues for Noel Lumber, but we've got to keep watching this as Carl Young continues going. It's all absolutely hectic out there at the moment. It looks like there is a car park there. A lot of drivers around. Platon has gone around, definitely. And I think somebody else has gone. I think Gabi Martinez has also gone around.
Oh, goodness. Just chaos into there. Iamaki, I think, the other one. So, coming into the corner, this is the initial bit of chaos that we were talking about. Poor Mickey Friesen, just trying to tiptoe past what's going on. Loses a bunch of time, and I think maybe a position or two in the process, but at least he manages it well.
Yeah, I've just looked as well, and actually, it was just more. You were right with that. It was Iamaki. It was I can't remember who I said, but it was also Javier Del Olmo got caught out in it as well, had nowhere to go to hit on the brakes, and for the second week in a row, Javier Del Olmo is literally stranded with nowhere to go but into the back of a car. Once again, he has been caught with massive damage.
Not sure what happened to Noel Lundberg. I went back to try and check on my end. Here's what caused the car park on that corner. Oh, the 16 getting popped up in the air. Just not expecting that coming into the turn. And 3 cars wind up out in the runoff.
Now, remember I was talking about drivers not understanding or not aware of people taking different speeds and braking? That is what caused that. I believe it was Ivan Platon. Either he missed his braking point or he tried to go for a send, not aware of the speed differences, just got caught out there. He tried to avoid everybody, but unfortunately the only place he could go was into the back of that car. Just caused that concertina effect. Here's Noel Lundberg. Again, he's on the straight. There's no engine. There's no smoke, so there's no engine fault. This, to me, does feel like it is some sort of mechanical issue there for Noel Lundberg.
Yeah, hardware, something with his PC maybe. Either a screen going out or maybe the wheel just got unplugged or something. Regardless, glad to see him get going again, but the damage is done. He's gone from the lead down to 13th. Schuster, our new leader, there on the screen now with about 3.8 seconds over. Guess who? Cayuse.
Yeah, he's got number 1 in his car for a reason. He's got the sticker bomb. Audi as well. You know it's him when you come around the corner. He has to just try and find 3 seconds in 21 minutes. And being that he was half a second faster last time, knock on wood, I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. He is bubble racing at the moment, and that means he's got no one behind him. He's got a man in front of him, but he's not close enough to start fighting him yet. But as I've been talking, he's already gained a couple tenths on Schuster. It's a question of when, not if. This man, though, it's a question of how's he going to lose it, and he probably won't.
I mean, never say never in the IMSA Vintage series. It tends to find itself some action, even out of the blue. Jacob Reed taking the number 2. Still at about 10 seconds ahead. So he hasn't gained a whole bunch since we last looked at him, but that's probably by design. He's probably really being careful about himself lapping the traffic since he built such a big buffer.
Yeah, and he's going to have to go, well, he's going to have to go around the traffic once again, is Jacob Reed, as he'll just be a few corners away from the Guardia. Not there yet. It's going to be interesting just to see, though, can he find any time? We know Jack Wells was able to find time, just having a better luck through the traffic. But now the traffic's a little bit spread out there. In fact, the only big group I see there is 4th to 7th with P8 in the GTOs, just catching. So that's Theo Chalet, Josh Bray, Mickey Fries, and Johan van Hick, and then Doug Cloud can catch up. I don't know if that's going to be a big enough group to disrupt anything when it comes to the traffic today, Joe.
I have to admit, I thought that they would be catching the traffic a lot sooner. I think they're only going to be going by 2 times, if my math is right, on when they caught them the first time through. But we watched Josh Brain. He is trying to take 4th off of Schleret, just in front of him, cuts back on the exit of the corner. It's a good exit, but I'm not sure that it's good enough. You can see how tantalizingly close that split color machine is, but no, he's not going to be there by the time they break.
No, and Josh still looking to, he's just not just working out opportunities, and you can just see as he goes around 11. Nowhere to go here. This reminds me of one of the other 3 tracks when you've got the double left-hander at the back. I want to say Okayama. Yeah, Okayama. You've got those double left-handers at the near the end of the track. Can't really make many moves out there. You just have to wait for other places like Seamus Power. He's done it once around here. I don't think he's going to try and do this around the outside yet again. But he's a car that you have to really look at. Up 8 places. He is fighting for a podium, and he may even get a top well, maybe even second if traffic goes his way.
Yeah, you know, that's a pretty good comparison, actually. A lot of hairpins out here, and yet it's so hard to pass. It's that is very much like Okayama, that you're just struggling to find some sort of opening, some sort of straight that gives you a chance. And often you're going to have to wait for a mistake from the car in front. So far, none forthcoming from Jack Wells, that it allows Seamus Power to pip that 3rd place as we check in with Josh Brain on the picture-in-picture, still battling for 4th as well.
Yeah, having a good little fight there is Josh. Mickey Friesen still behind him. Actually, Mickey Friesen's done really well to get that 6th position after, remember what happened a few laps ago, where he basically had to take a joker lap coming out of turn 15, and he's managed to just hold on. Josh, they're going to have to defend this on Mickey Friesen, and it's going to be tough, and that's actually around that corner. That could be interesting if Mickey Friesen holds on to it. In fact, he has held on to this. He's going to have the inside. That's a brilliant move into turn 9, and he's going to get the return there. Brain is going to try and do it around the outside as well of 12. They are still side by side, but makes a mistake on the exit, and finally Josh has to give way. Great move there from Mickey Friesen, and he's got his old nemesis, Johan van Hick, right behind as Josh goes down 2 places.
Schleret runs away as well, using this as an opportunity to really distance himself from this group. Josh Brain, after he was on the attack, it all unravels around him. Doug Cloud I mean, what a great job. Started this race in 9th. We saw him kind of fall down the order a little bit, and he's already up 1. Now he's got a whole bunch of cars in front of him.
Yeah, he's done really good to really fight back, and if he can get ahead of one of these cars, he could be a real menace here to try and put some defense on. I am keeping an eye on that timing tower. You are also keeping an eye on that timing tower in the comments and the chat. Yes, Valenteus is right onto the back of Schuster, but this battle, once again, it's almost like El Clasico right now, Joe. I'm not really sure what you would call it when it comes to American sport, but this really feels like El Clasico, the old firm derby or something. Van Hicks, Mickey Friesen, they have been battling for half of last year. You just feel that they're just going to kickstart that now in 2025.
Some side-by-side behind them. Brain with a mistake. Doug Cloud says, thank you very much. This is my opportunity. Breaks as deep as he can into the corner. Is he going to make it? Yeah, he parks it at the apex, and Brain has no answer. So there we go for the merch department of GSRC. I guess get us a GSRC headband for Doug Cloud. He's got to rep the brand, right?
Yeah, do it for the brand. That's what they say, and he's just got to feel he's really enjoying it. Now he put his car there. He's got to make that car wide. He's going to make the cheese grater wide. And you know that he'll turn that cheese grater into an air fryer. If you talk kitchen utensils, he's going to make that wide. But first things first, he doesn't need to lock up. He needs to get onto the back of Van Hicks, Friesen, and Chalet. I don't think he's going to make it, though. That's going to be ever so tight to catch it. 15 minutes left. And very shortly, the GTPs, this lot, will be catching on to them.
Brow versus Power versus Wells. This is to decide the final podium position in those GTPs as we come up the last couple corners now. Power, who has been on the attack, is he going to have to go defensive as Farron Grau has caught up relatively quickly, especially considering how far back down the field he went before. Great exit from Seamus, defensive from Wells. What's going to happen, though, once they get into the braking? He's got the inside, shorter distance, but also lap traffic in front of them. Fabian Jungbluth, he dives out of the way, but it doesn't matter anyway. Seamus Power is going to get the move done.
I want none of this, says Fabian, and a fantastic little move there from Power. Gets by once again, and technically you could say he did that round the outside once again. This track is really suiting him out there today. You can see it. Here comes Carl Young. He's also in a little battle with Brendan Lim. Brendan Lim in the silk cut replica livery out there today. He's just got to be careful. They get held up by traffic again. Pisto right behind them will be catching up into this. Last 14 minutes, you've got to feel this is the last time they go through all the traffic out there today, and it could be very interesting. But Jack Wells started in 3rd position, a really good qualifying for him, could not make it, and a man who has made it, Valenteus, finally gets the lead.
And I think Wells may have cut the course somewhere because he was given a slowdown penalty, so that's what cost him, and Farron Grau snuck on by in the process. And Valenteus snuck up to the lead and already got by Andreas Schuster. As quick as that number 10 car is, not quick enough to hold back one of the fastest drivers I think I've ever seen on the sim. For reference, 9,000 iRating on Andreas. Once you even get above 6,000, you're in more rare air on the sim, and yet he has continued to climb. There is the pass in the upper right of your screen. Easy move down the inside of turn 1.
Yeah, easy move as well, and I can report Ove Trengerade is off as well. Now, I don't know what's happened to Trengerade. He just pulled the car off. And I wonder if he's had, again, either a hardware failure or something happened. He's also called it a day, so he's retired the car. That puts Theo Charret up into 3rd, and that means this battle here is now for the final podium spot.
Great. Thought maybe he could run away a little bit earlier, but it was not to be. Friesen, Van Hicks, Cloud have all caught back up. Add Josh Brain now into that mix as they come around turn 13. Once again, lots of lockups in this group. Everybody trying to set themselves up for the final turn off that exit, knowing that long front straight is oh so crucial.
Oh, so crucial. I'll tell you what, Charret has had a lockup himself. Could be interested to see what Mickey Friesen can do with this. Quite a bit of space, as you see on board with Van Hicks, sorry. Maybe a chance, but Friesen will have to do this late. Not really a car you can do late braking in, as Friesen looks for it into, you can see he's really going for it, but how much he's sliding. He comes through 2 and 3, really sliding. He's kept all that speed up. He's managed to close that gap to Theo, but he just couldn't get the momentum as he comes out of 4.
5 now. Move along, sweeping left-hander, coming down into 6. Tighter entry for Theo. Maybe just trying to cover off any late dives from Mickey Friesen. Looks for the exit out of turn 8. All of them trying to set up as they get some traffic in behind. That's going to be Guardia, our second-place driver. He's all on his lonesome, so he's not fighting anybody. Oh, but he might cost an opportunity for Friesen, as I saw Mickey give a look, but then reconsider.
Yeah, quick on board on the top with Ferran Growler as he had a mistake as well. He goes off, doesn't lose control of the car. He does go off and he loses the position. I thought Mickey could have made that move, and I think if Guardia didn't come by, he probably would have. This is a narrow track. 3 wide is a bit too close down here, so I think it was also just Friesen playing it safe. There is a risk to go 3 wide, but it's not like the tracks we've had or other tracks. You've just got to wait. But you said about those different lines, Joe. The line Mickey took for turn 8, keep your eyes on that for other corners around here. He's really got a flow of this track, which a flow in a GTO is something you don't usually talk about.
Picking up a lot of dust on the front stretch as well. Looks like a lot of cars are dipping out into that dirt and carrying it onto the track. Yeah, this shows you how cumbersome it is coming down into turn 3, trying to spot your brake marker. And coming off the corner, is this a good chance? Trying to cut back as Mickey Friesen is looking to set up Schleret. No, not there for turn 5, just not enough of a braking zone behind them. Joram just watching, waiting, knowing if those two start battling, there could be a chance, or maybe if in behind them, Seamus Power shows up, that could give him a chance.
That could give him a chance. We'll wait to see this time by, and Theo takes a nice lane as well. Looking at Miguel Cuento Martin, he's having a battle as well. A mistake from Mickey Friesen allows Van Hicks to go on by. That's not what you want to see if you're Mickey Friesen fans. And also Theo Schleret now goes a little bit wide, but Seamus Power there, that GTP, did not help anybody. Jack Wells is now going to have to come through. This is going to put a spanner in this middle battle. As you just see, one car's gone around. It's Doug Cloud.
It is. He got hit by the GTP coming through.
No!
Absolutely runs into Martin Krajcik as he's trying to get it pointed forward. And Doug carries on, but Martin's on his lid.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that is not what you want to do. And I know he was just trying to spin that car around, trying to use the momentum. He is going to feel really bad about that. That is just absolute horrible what has happened out there for him. More battles going on, though. This is Martin on Ferran Grau. They're coming to the lead GTO battle, or the lead GTO battle, and Ferran Grau, he splits one car, he splits another. Brilliant multi-class driving there from Ferran Grau. Almost goes into the side of Mickey Friesen by accident, does Martin. But Ferran Grau, you've got to applaud that with 8 minutes to go. Real good multi-class standards there.
Doing a fantastic job. And look at how that corner, turn 5, helped him out as Martin gets held up. So here's Krajcik, and he's going to have no idea, other than there's a car on the inside, not expecting him to park it on the apex, hits him just wrong, pops it into the air, and unfortunately the kickflip did not completely go over, and he winds up on the wrong side.
That would be a Casper. Yeah, you don't really want to do a Casper. You want to make sure you've got 4 wheels on the ground. Like these drivers using the ground effect. Downforce is the Pisto as he continues on. This is a battle for 8 with Brendan Lim. Still battles going on there. We've only had a handful, a literal handful of drivers retire from this race. The standard has been really good, but nowhere for him to go as Chalet and Van Hicks come, and then Mickey Friesen just doesn't excuse me and almost goes into the back of the Pisto there. So that's going to hold him up. Is there a move here to try and get the double overtake? Brilliant from Brendan. He sees the opportunity to take 2 of them. He takes it, and is that the Pisto just holding up Van Hicks? May have done.
Yeah, Joram had to dive away from the apex as Lepisto really sent it in. Thankfully, the two were heads up in that situation, but we could have seen a repeat of what happens to Reed a little bit earlier. But as we come out of turn 3. These two still battling. Remember when it was 5 cars battling for this position? Somehow it is whittled down to 2.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair with what happened with Doug, that also made it. Mistake from Friesden with a mischief made it. Also other factors playing in here. So we're down to 2 for this final spot, and it is Van Hicks and Theo Cholet. You've just got to fill more lockups as GTP traffic comes by, and they don't get by. Javier Sanchez will get by as Gabby Martinez, one of the lapped GTPs. Looks like he will wait and come through, but he could actually cause an issue here for Theo. He can't turn in, and he's locked the brakes. These two are going to go side by side as they come out of turn 9. The inside does belong to Van Hicks, but now the inside belongs to Theo Cholet, and they're going to try and go side by side. Still, there is still the overlap. Johan Van Hicks goes around the outside, and Theo decides he wants some more bumping and more bumping. Here comes Mickey Frieden. They're going to go 3 wide into 13.
I don't think they're going to make it out. Somehow they do. No! Mickey gets turned. He'll get it pointed back forward. Theo carries on, but now he's down in 4th place. Van Hicks tries to run away, knowing he's got all of 6 minutes left to go. Mickey was so close to capitalizing on that whole situation. You know, I almost think Schleray missed a shift and then decided, screw it, I'm just going to brake as deep as this car can go into the corner.
Yeah, I think there are words he was probably saying that we can't really say on the broadcast. Ferenc Grau continuing as well. He's probably got some words out there as well as Jack Wells continues on this battle. These two have been having a nice little battle for P4 at the end of this race. It looked so good for these drivers to start. Remember, Wells started 3rd, Grau started 4th. They both lost a position, but they could have had podiums. They could have had P2s. Mistakes have gone their way. They've got one more GTO to get by. That could be it for them when it comes to the GTO traffic. They've got to breathe a sigh of relief. But I do feel now on just dead pace, I think Jack Wells has it.
It looks like he's got it under control, but that's going to be a little crumb of comfort because Seamus Power has run away with them with that 3rd place, climbing from 9th on the, or no, excuse me, 12th on the grid, gaining 9 positions, I should say, for the number 18. Really, it's just been a phenomenal showing, and that's not because, as far as I can tell, it doesn't look like he screwed up his qualifying. Both laps seem pretty decent enough for him. He just had more to show and was able to survive what has been a bit of a nutty race out on this new track.
Yeah, I think there is the new track effect that is causing issues out there for some of these drivers because, again, we talked about it. This is on what it looks like on paper. And again, thank you to Michael de Turk for doing these stats for us. It looks like it's the 3rd highest strength of field in both classes ever. And you just feel to yourself, well, the standard's usually good, but on an unknown track like this, you just don't know what to expect. And I think that has caught a lot of the drivers out. Some of these drivers probably haven't done races with each other this week. It has caught some of them out. You know, no one's seen the pista make a... Hello, was that Brendan Lim just going off in the wrong direction?
I think you're right. Yeah, he's off course. And it looks like he may have found the Armco. That's his turn 7. Looks like it's able to carry on, and I don't see any major damage, but he's staying off course.
Yeah, check the front. Unfortunately, there is quite some major damage. In fact, he has towed it. What happened there? I did see it. That almost looked like a hardware failure. It wasn't. He came out of turn 6, lost the rear of the car, tried to fight it into 7. Let's just watch it again. He actually gets on the brakes. Say, look, he's already sliding. He tries to correct it. He is braking while sliding. Unfortunately, he's never going to save that. And hitting the brakes probably limited the damage, but the damage was done to him, unfortunately. And that's another battle gone. Jacob Reed with 3 minutes to go. I count he's got 2.5 laps left before he finishes today.
Yeah, I think you're right. So Jacob Reed up to 18 seconds. Now he's definitely grown his gap since we last looked at him. It's been all his out there at the front without really much of a challenge since the beginning of the race. And you talked about, you know, this being a new track. For an audience that hasn't done multi-class racing, it may be hard to understand that each track kind of has its own characteristics, its personality in terms of where traffic needs to flow, where's a good place to pass and where's not to pass, Craig. So you make a good point that there's a lot of learning to be done the first race you do here.
Yeah, and for these drivers, some of them it's their second race, some of them it's their third race, some it's their first race as Theo continues to hold that position of Lockup and Van Hicks up ahead, but Friesen is not looking up ahead. He's just looking straight at that multicolored car with Apex text on the side. Another mistake there from Theo, but Mickey can't get it. If that was Seamus Power in a downforce car, he'd be sending that right now, but you can't in these GTOs. There's 2 minutes left. It's going to be tough for Mickey to look for any other move. But he also realizes that if he makes a mistake, Josh Brain is right behind him. And behind him, a man we haven't talked about since he had that big accident, is Javier Del Olmo, still there sitting in 7th.
Good point. Javier kind of snuck up on this. He was involved a little bit earlier, but remember, he got kind of shoved to the side by that incident down at turn 13 earlier on in the race. So he's done a really good job of just quietly putting himself back into position. Speaking of putting yourself in position, Mickey, I think, kind of poked his nose a little bit into 12 and then decided against it, almost gets into the back of Schleret, doesn't make contact with him. Now he's got to watch out for Josh Brain becoming bigger in the mirrors as we look at Audrius Valenteus, our leader in the GTOs.
I tell you what's interesting though, is looking at this battle, Jacob Reed is right behind them. Jacob Reed is about to take the white flag. All these GTOs that we've been looking at, they've got one more lap. Jacob Reed comes across the line. He's going to take the white flag. This is the last lap, and 2 seconds up the road are the drivers we were just looking at, the Theo Charret, the Mickey Friesen, the Josh Brain. This is it for the drivers, I've got to say. Valenteus, he's going to be nice and clean, and there has been a mistake, though, for Theo Charret. There he is. He goes wide once again at turn 3, and Mickey Friesen finally has that P4, and almost no more damage to the back, and he's going to lose it. They're 3 wide.
That was our leader, wasn't it? It just made that contact. He had nobody to fight with. I'm not sure why he stuck his nose down in there, especially with such a close fight on the last lap.
He's got 16 seconds. Got to be a lapse of concentration. He had 16 seconds ahead of everybody. He didn't need to do that, but obviously the speed was there. I bet he's not feeling happy at the moment, but the damage shouldn't be that big for Mickey Friesen, because look who's in third. It's Johan Van Hicks, who's been carrying a busted nose for the whole of the race. He still had the chance to make a move.
So Reed now is going to sit behind Joram here for a moment. Nope, he's going to try and go to the inside, pass one last GTO before this race is over. And it looks like it is going to be a hat trick for Jacob Reed. What a start to the season. Perfect scores in the first 3 rounds of 25 points each, and Jacob Reed extends the gap at the front of the field with victory.
Extends the gap. There is a drag race coming to the end. If you just see in the background, I think Mickey hasn't got it though. Oh, he's going to be oh so close. He was half a car away from getting that P4 from Theo Charret. You will see Schuster. He will get that P2. In fact, he's still got to go around. Johan Van Hicks does get that P3. Gardia, fantastic. Again, car 28, Joe. He is the lowest I-rating GTP in this field, and that doesn't feel right with the caliber of the driver he is.
Well, he's going to be gaining some I rating today. That is for sure. Seamus Power going to come home after him in third. But Valenteus, with just a couple more corners to go now, with the number 1 on his car, very much finding himself where you would expect him to be, as he has gone from last to first once again.
I gotta say it. I keep saying it. I'm gonna ask everyone. In fact, he may just start doing some drifts. He did this last week, and this is the sign of he's not going to. It's a sign of just dominance. Who can stop him? I'm asking anybody. Who can stop him? Because I think this season we know what he wants to drive. It's a GTO. He's already won the GTP. He's going to try and do what Javier Del Olmo did and go GTO, GTP. He's going to do it the other way. This is Valenteus' world.
Clearly is. So with him crossing the line, that is going to be pretty much it. Schuster also getting second, the only other driver on the same lap as Valenteus, since they got split by our GTP leaders. That puts Jacob Reed up at the top once again after starting from pole position. He skidded away and nobody could see him after long, as Guardia will be P2. Seamus Power from 12th to 3rd. Then Jack Wells finishing 4th today. Ferry Grau P5, and Martin finishing in 6th. Cal Young a 7th place finish. Antti Lepisto 8th, and Cotasalo 9th, with Ruiz rounding out your top 10. Last one to actually finish in the GTPs was Sanchez in 11th. Then you've got Lim, Martinez, Platon, Olsen, Iamaki, and Hisada rounding out your field, unable to get to the checkered flag. What about the GTOs?
Yeah, well, in the GTOs, Valenteus will win. Now, it does say Schuster. He is 2 laps down. That is 2 laps from the overall race. He actually finished 2 seconds behind Valenteus. That doesn't just show how dominant it was. Van Hicks finishes in 3rd with Theo Charret in 4th. Mickey Friesen comes home in 5th, and then Josh Brain will be 6th. Javier Del Olmo had a crash, recovered into 7th, and Timothy Reed will be 8th. Doug Cloud finishes 9th, and Noah Lundberg finished on the same lap as everyone else after having to pull off for possible hardware issues in 10th. We only had one retiree, which was Ove Trengrade in 13th, so Fabian Jungwirth and Martin Krajcik stayed on the same lap in 11th and 12th respectively. So really good showing from the GTOs today.
Yeah, great job from all of them. Certainly gave us a lot to shout about out on track with some crazy battles, including Theo Schleret, who finished in 4th. Looks like he showed up ready to chat with us. So let's talk to Theo about how that all went. Theo, it seemed like you guys were just in constant fights there all throughout the race, but you kind of came away maybe a bit outside of where you were hoping for. What are your thoughts on how this all went?
Well, I'm a bit puzzled because, well, I was way slower than I was expecting to compared to my practice in a session with similar settings than we have on the track today. So I was very surprised to see how slow I was during the qualifying. So during the race, I was just, okay, let's just drive and see what happens. And yeah, I did some mistakes, but at the same time, I got a bit lucky with the traffic and something overhad. I don't know why it stopped. I will look at that later, but yeah, some ups and downs, but in the end, well, decent race nonetheless.
We also saw at one point, it looked like you maybe missed a shift and then sent the car in deep into the corner. Was that trying to make up for the missed shift, or were you still trying to get the car to engage?
No, it's just that going into mischief just shifted my focus from driving to the gearing on my car, and then I was completely off position to see my braking points, etc. So I just had to go with whatever I felt like, which sent me a bit too hard against I think it was Mikey. So yeah, in the end, a bit of tumble here and there, but yeah, gladly not too much damage.
Yeah, we're glad you guys got away with that in the end. What's your assessment on this track? We were wondering, with this being so new, if it would work well for the IMSA Vintage Series or if it would cause too many headaches. Did you enjoy it?
Well, I enjoy headaches, so I might not be the best person to answer your question, but I can understand how it can be tricky to deal with, given the width of the track, and that for the slowest corners, both classes are more or less as fast as each other. But yeah, I think that will be kind of a polemic track, if I may say, where we will surely have some debate between all the drivers.
I think that's a good way to phrase it. Well, regardless, still a top 5 out there, so excellent job considering you felt like you lacked pace. I think you gave us quite a bit to enjoy today.
Yeah, and well, I just hope I will do better for the next time.
Well, we hope that as well. That was Theo Schleret finishing in 4th here today. And let's see, who do we want up next for this one? I guess Seamus Power. Craig, do you want to chat with our 3rd place finisher in the GTPs?
Yep, up 9 positions today. It's Seamus Power, and there's only one play. We just saw Seamus just having to get around a wreck at turn 15. There's only one thing I want to talk about, Seamus. Lap 11, around the outside with traffic at turn 6 on Anti the Pisto. What was going through your mind there? Because that was one hell of an overtake.
I feel like I'd have to go back and look through the replay myself, because there were some interesting moves there. Honestly, I kind of just, there was no thought process behind that. I think it was very reactive, as was most of the race with trying to overtake people, but it worked out. Somehow I guess I got a podium out of it.
Yeah, we're just looking at the replay right here, thanks to Daniel. Just comes around that outside, and there is space. Gets it stuck in, gets it around. Brilliant, and has to hold it. It's fantastic. It looked from here that this is the track that it suited you. It looked like you were having the time of your life around here. Have you enjoyed this track? It's a fairly new track around here in these cars.
I think for me personally, the opposite is true. I did not enjoy this at all. I mean, sure, coming away with a P3 at the end of the day is very nice, but I did not enjoy driving this track. I think I have the track. I've definitely raced it ages ago, but I think it's kind of been shoved in my my basement, as it were. But I think the first 5 corners are pretty nice. You've got that off-camber braking zone into that tight hairpin, and a bit of interesting turns through sector 1, and then the track just starts to kind of fall apart with hairpins, and I don't have fun with those. But yeah, I don't know. It seemed like I was able to outbrake a lot of people. So maybe I was just pretty practiced at that part. But no, unfortunately, I did not really enjoy this race much.
Honestly, it looked like you enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest. It looked fantastic out there. And one thing we picked up at the start of the day, this is, again, this is unconfirmed truth. This is the 3rd highest strength for field race. Now, we look at you, and we've known you for the last couple of years here, and there were times when the races split, you wouldn't be here. And now you're up there fighting all the time. In the year and a half, 2 years, what has just been the key to your improvement throughout the series, to be one of those back markers to now being the guy that we're constantly seeing in the top 5?
Yeah, maybe not constantly in the top 5, though, one can hope. But yeah, no, it's been an interesting ride. I think more than anything, I would contribute my sort of rise in both iRating and I guess racecraft with IMSA Vintage is simply participating with this community. I think maybe I'm confusing my explanation here, but it feels like the longer I've stuck with, the more I've kind of been like, oh yeah, I'll commit to a full season, I'll commit to another full season, etc., in IMSA Vintage has sort of just improved my racing tremendously, and that's sort of carried on over to other races that I do on iRacing, like special events and prototypes and the like. So yeah, it's been, I think it's a bit of a learning through trial by fire kind of thing if you're joining. But if you can get it right, if you can respect the drivers, if you can be aggressive enough, then I guess you show some results.
I think you've just given the perfect advertisement to the series just in general and classic car racing, Seamus. Before we let you go, we will let you just have a few shout outs there because you are on the podium. You deserve all the time in the world.
Yeah, thanks. I think shout out number 1 to Audrius, because I was using his, he was racing Audi today, but he posted a Nissan setup very kindly. And yeah, I stuck with it and it worked out. So that was very nice. 2, to you guys again, as always here at GSRC, fantastic broadcast. Love the snazzy new graphics. I wasn't expecting that when I tuned in last week. I was like, oh, things are new. So awesome work there. And then 3, as I've already said, to the community. It's fantastic. And although I think a lot of us might not have liked this week's track, hopefully next week and definitely the week after at Mosport should be fun.
Should be fun indeed. Seamus, once again, congratulations on your P3 today. You can go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Joe, that was Seamus Power. 9 places there, up to 3rd place in the day.
Yeah, that's a stark contrast to Laust Olsen, who was down 8, unfortunately, from where he started. And that was, unfortunately, because of an early incident. Laust, we saw your mistake coming out of the final corner and spinning up the tires. How difficult is it here with how much power is underneath these Nissans and so many slow, sharp corners?
It's quite difficult, also because the track is quite bumpy at places, so you easily lose traction. And yeah, totally my own mistake. Even I think it was in front of me had a bad exit, and I wanted to capitalize on that one, but then I got too eager myself and spun and destroyed the car. So, but quite lucky during the start. I think I dodged several incidents and gained a lot of places, but threw it all away again.
Yeah, I was going to say I was glad to see you get back out and try and finish up the race. Obviously, from there, since you didn't have too many people to fight against, you could focus a lot more on dealing with the traffic. Did you find some spots that are better than others to try and get by some of the GTOs? How are the two classes interacting?
It's quite okay actually, but it's difficult to find good spots to pass, because the speed difference is not that big, and it's not that you can get a lot of GTOs in one take on the straights when they're close together, because they are often quite slow, and with the slow exit they actually are a little bit faster at the beginning, so it could be quite difficult, I must admit. And I also had some issues yesterday and Wednesday. I passed several GTOs into the last corner, but today for some reason I couldn't get the car breakdown in time for the corner, and kept overshooting it. Not sure what was wrong there, but that was a good passing spot until today, but today I couldn't make it work.
Well, commiserations, and hopefully we'll get to see you next time out at Hockenheim.
Yeah, I can't to be there. Thank you.
Laust Olsen finishing up 15th in class today in the end, which is going to wrap up our show with a big thank you, of course, to the IMSA Vintage community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, we want to thank our team today, Craig, Daniel, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Like we said, we're going to Hockenheim. That'll be Saturday, January 11th at noon Eastern when we return for this series. But next up, we have the Lotus 79s at Suzuka on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So tune in tomorrow for that one. In the meantime, be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here as well. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.